because I am folding clothes or linting clothes or attempting to lint clothes with this little reusable thing. So sorry for that in advance. Anyway, so while I am doing a floor stream and you guys get to look at the cats, I just wanted to share with you guys some thoughts that I had in my mind yesterday. So yesterday, I know I flood you guys so much with my community post. I know that very clearly. Like, I look at this stuff and I treat my community post like a Twitter. And I know there are people who are very selective about what they put on their community posts, maybe something like once a day. I heard I'm not supposed to do more than 3 times a week, 3 times a day. The people get irritated by it, but I'm like, you know what? This is my channel. Give a crap about what people think. So I just write what I write, and if people look at it, that's cool. If they don't, that's cool too. There's actually people who know me, um, who've actually, I've known for a number of years who do look at my channel, and I kind of feel like even though I don't see them, having my channel is one of the ways that people, if they're curious about it, they can kind of see what the thoughts in my head are, or, what's going on in my life, or what's moving forward. So yesterday I got triggered hard because I was looking at some old photos that I had. I had photos on PhotoBucket for the longest time, and then I transferred it off, and then I was just skimming through them, and then I noticed that that was inside of the photos, and that Speedy is something that that my mom had for a number of years. She had it for over 30 years, and well, not she had it for about 20 years, I believe, and then but it's been around for 30 years. She passed away in like around 2008. So yeah, that's the reason why it's like 30 years old. But anyway, so with that, I got to looking at those photos, and I got to see the remarkable difference of how I used to look like before, just like how I kind of like, I don't want to say dressed up more, but that actually is the case. How I dressed up more when she was around versus after she passed. It's kind of like I had a more like laid back or sort of thing. It was just like my natural style, and then I just got more and more and more lax. Now, it's not like I got completely lax at all, but there is a sizable difference in, let's say, how I dress normally versus how I used to dress before, when my mom was aware of, like, oh, you're gonna go out, okay, this is what you should, this is probably what you should wear if you're gonna meet with friends or something like that. And my mom was a really nice person. She was so caring, so warm, so loving. I shared with you guys that she used to buy me clothes out of the blue. It's like she would go to these like teen stores. I forgot, what was it, like Charlotte Russe? Because I think it was like she was like, oh my goodness, my daughter doesn't really shop too much, so I should probably shop for my daughter. hold on, I gotta check something. Okay, I'm back. So, for instance, right, this is actually something that she bought me when I was in high school, and I still have this jacket. So it is a Abercrombie and Fitch jacket. Sorry, Blackberry. Yeah, it has to go in the wash. Um, so it's an Abercrombie and Fitch jacket. I'm not the kind of person to wear Abercrombie and Fitch, but I guess all the cool kids had it. So my mom thought, oh, okay, I should get my daughter an Abercrombie and Fitch jacket. And this jacket has lasted a very, very long time. I remember wearing this around, I think 2004-ish, 2005-ish. And yeah, it's still around. It's still freaking around. So it's absolutely incredible that it lasted all this time. This is one of those pieces that I made sure that I brought with me to Hawaii, because it's kind of like, and I know this sounds kind of strange, but it's kind of like a security blanket to me. It's one of those pieces. It's like you remember how much someone cared about you, so you keep a piece like this. Hold on, gotta put this in the laundry hamper. Okay, so I'm back. Yeah, I have to make the dash between like other side of the apartment to this side. So with that being said, over the years I have lost kind of touch about taking care of myself more, and I acknowledge that. You know, it's like my mom was on my eyes and ears for certain things, and she really had she really had or she tried to have the pulse about what people around my age like to wear. I shared with you guys, like for instance, she got me this Tiffany necklace, and I didn't ask for it at all. But she knew all the preteens or all the teenagers. I forgot what year that necklace came out. Wanted it, and then she thought, oh, maybe my daughter would like this because all Hillary Duff has this kind of stuff, and I know she watches Disney Channel. So yeah, it's something that when I look back at it, I wish I appreciated more. I really, really wish I did, because it's like you don't really realize what you have until it's gone. And that's what really triggered me hard yesterday. So yesterday, it's like I was just like a ball of tears, and hopefully I get it together for this stream. But anyway, with that being said, what I'm trying to get in is this. I think generally parents would like the best for their children, and they always encourage them to be a better person, always aspire to be your best self. And if in the event that, let's say, a parent passes away earlier than expected, there is a chance, there's a chance that the person growing up kind of loses their way. And like I said, I don't think I like completely fell off like the face of the earth or anything like that. But I think I lost that over time, and it's like I know how much my mom encouraged me to be a better person, and how much she kind of just she had this mentality like if you want to do something, just do it. If you have this like if you want to aspire to something, then go on that path. And it's like I look back, and it's been like over it's goodness, she passed away in 2008. It's been like what, 12 years? It's been like 12 years since she passed away. And 12, 13 years, almost 13 years since she passed away. And it's kind of like only now it's kind of like coming back to me full circle, and I'm thinking like, oh my goodness, what would my mom want me to do? And it's kind of like I was talking to Lewis about this yesterday, and he got to see me as like a ball of tears and everything. But it's like one of those things, and I know I'm not too old or anything like that. I'm 32 years old. Going to be let's see, 33 this year, and I think I'm just gonna put like a break to certain things, and then just kind of move better in a more positive direction. Not saying like I think my life is going down a downward spiral or anything, but I think my mom would have wanted me to reach a little higher. And I think my mom, if I had to like just like close my eyes and think about it, it's like I think my mom would want me to care about myself more. And yeah, it's like certain things like that. It's like when I think about it, and yeah. Oh, by the way, in case you guys think I'm like a little weepy and stuff, this is this is not like a normal thing to do. But if you guys have ever lost a parent, one of the downsides is that you can get triggered hard sometimes. And I think I can be you know, uh, I can vouch for this. Sometimes I don't think the pain ever really goes away. I think it just becomes you just reach a new normal, and there's gonna be times that you get triggered, and obviously like the last 2 days, maybe 3 days, there's been like times that I've been getting triggered, and it's just like, yeah, I guess when it comes down to it, I just miss her. So, as I've shared with you guys before, I have sought therapy for this. I did go and speak to someone for this, and they did help me immensely. So I don't think I need to go back and get a therapist or anything like that. But it's just, sometimes you just get a little nostalgic, and then you miss you just remember things that it's like you can't turn back time, sort of thing. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, so it's like if any of you guys, if any of you still have both of your parents, I would say definitely cherish them. Cherish how much time you have with them, because like once they're gone, I know this is gonna sound pretty depressing, but once they're gone, you're gonna wish that maybe you spent more time with them. You're gonna wish that maybe maybe you just showed a little bit more appreciation. And I'm not like I wasn't like a bad daughter or anything like that. I don't want you to think that I was a bad daughter. I had a really close relationship with my mom. I loved her so much, and I think she knew, but um like I said, she passed away way too early in my opinion. And it was, tough, because I remember, I remember it's just like I was just so surreal when I found out she passed away. Yeah, so yeah, I don't have anything bad to say about my mom. She loved life. She loved people. She was so caring, so warm, so friendly. I swear she could chat up a wall. She would be one of those people, like we would be in the elevator, and then if she saw someone, she would randomly compliment them, and she would ask them questions like, "Oh, I really like your purse. Where did you get it from?" And then that person will talk to them, and I'm like, "Oh my goodness, here's my mom again." Here's my mom making conversation with people. And this was, of course, before far before COVID, so people wouldn't really care if you were in close proximity to one another asking questions. But yeah, it's like that's one of the things that I really miss. We're actually born a week apart, so exactly 1 week apart. And then we're both Gemini, so she was very chatty, and when I was younger, I was really chatty, but I was definitely more reserved than her. My mom was, how would I describe it? Yeah, like she would just be so chatty with people. She would chat up people at the store. She would chat up people in the elevator. She was very curious about things. She had so much she cared a lot about taking care of herself. And I think she kind of pushed me to be the same way, but I was like, "Mom, I don't want to think about this stuff. Like I just want to be in my jeans and my hoodie, and that's it." Like um but just like a bummy old t-shirt, and my mom would buy me like nicer jeans, or she would buy me a nicer hoodie. So you guys saw the Abercrombie hoodie. And yeah, so it's like small little things like that. It's like she did these little things, and I kind of look back, and I don't remember what I told her, right? But it definitely wasn't mean, but I just kind of wish I showed more appreciation to her. It's like it's because like sometimes when people go out of their way like that, if they do it routinely, we might take it for granted. We'll be like, "Oh, okay, this is what they always do." So you just think of it as the normal thing. But as I got older, I realized, like, yeah, people don't really do that for one another. People don't really just be like, "Oh yeah, I was in a store, and I saw something at the window, and I thought you would like this, so I bought it for you." Yeah, I never, yeah, that didn't hit me until after she passed away. So, yeah, it's like, it's one of those things that just kind of makes me a little nostalgic. So, yeah, So yeah, you guys saw the post about my desire to get a counterfeit Louis Vuitton bag. That's the reason why I want to get one. She had a Speedy. I showed pictures of it, and I would be absolutely gutted if I had the bag, I walked out on the street and it got stolen. Like there is no way I could replace that bag. And I'm not talking about monetary costs because monetary costs would be about $350 used or so, or $400. But I'm talking about like the memories. Like that's the bag that she used. You know, that was the bag that she used when I was a little girl. She used it as a diaper bag. She used it as a regular handbag. That's the same bag that I carried with me out occasionally. And I borrowed the bag from her. And one of the things that I remember she told me, and this is kind of gonna sound creepy, but it's like I remember she told me, she said like, oh, you know, Erica, everything I have when I pass away, you know, that would be yours. And I was just like, why are you telling me this? Like, this is weird. You know, why are you telling me this? Like, this is like you don't tell someone in high school that kind of thing. And I was like, yeah, whatever. You know, I didn't really think about it too much, but yeah, she passed away unexpectedly, and yeah, it's like, and then it hit me like, yeah, okay, yeah, so I guess I do have all this stuff now, and it's like, it's like I would see her bags, and I would just be like, you know, I know how much she loved them, but it's like I just feel like there's so much, how would I say it? Not pressure, but so much like there's just so much like a flood of memories when you see that kind of stuff. It's, and I'm sure like some of you guys will know what I'm talking about. It's like if you guys have, let's say, a parent or someone who passes away, and then you have to do like an estate sale, you're like, oh crap, you know, this is like the reading glasses they always used, or this was the, you know, this was the yeah, this was the cup that they always drank from. Like, what do you do with it? So yeah, it's, yeah, so I guess, yeah, it's just like all those things. It's like whenever I see it, it's like just so much memories attached to it. And I don't know, like part of me thinks I'm doing a disservice because if I actually have the actual bag and I'm carrying around a counterfeit, it's like, oh well, the real bag's just being left at home, right? But pros and cons thing, I can easily replace a counterfeit bag. I can't replace the real one, and it would just really really make me depressed if that the actual bag got stolen. Like, I'm not kidding you guys. Like, if I had the actual bag and someone wanted to mug me for the actual bag, I think I would actually put myself in danger because I'd just be like frantic about like, I need that bag back. Like, you don't understand. Like, I need uh that bag back. So yeah, it's not a good thing to do. You know, obviously my mom would not want me to put my own well-being in danger over a handbag. I know that if she was talking to me, she'd be like, Erica, it's just not worth it. Like, carry the damn counterfeit. Who cares what people think? Um, just, yeah. And so, yeah. But yeah, so I just want to like move forward in a more positive direction in my life. And it's not, like I said, it's not like my life is um, veered off like a dark path or anything like that. That wasn't it. But I think I could have done more in my life. And part of the things that I want to do is, I think that one of the things that my mom always told me is she said, oh, Erica, you know, I think it's very, very important for you to have financial stability for yourself. And it's like, it's like, you know, she would tell me this kind of stuff, and I would just kind of go in one out ear, one out the other ear, because you see, my mom was that kind of person where she was, and this is going to explain some things. My mom was a housewife. So my mom, she lived within the family's means, and she, you know, she bought things, definitely made sure she didn't like extravagantly buy things. So, thinking about it that way, that's why, like, even though you guys hear about this like LV bag, it's like you know, she was using that for 20 years. That necklace that she got me, that was like, I think it was like $600 new. It wasn't like she was buying me on that all the time or anything like that. It was like, you know, after she would just be very, very selective about certain things. And I think that she thought when she saw that necklace, like, oh, maybe this is something Erica could use for a while. And now I'm thinking like, yeah, well, I actually like to use that necklace now. Funny because it's been how many years, but Yeah, it's things like that. So my mom was telling me that, and she said, Erica, you know, it's important to be financially stable. And because I saw parents were, so my dad, he, you know, it's like he works every single day, and doesn't make too much money, but worked every single day and then saved up his money. And it's like you like, how would I put it this way? It's like that's why I also have a tremendous amount of respect for my dad. It's because that I know how much he sacrificed, you know, how much it's like, and it's like he would work every single day, um, just to make sure that everything was okay. And yeah, I had a really good life when I was growing up as a kid, um, because it was just it, because it was just like we were saving a lot. You know, we were saving a lot, living within the means, and it's like I said, my life wasn't filled with designer stuff left and right, but I remember feeling, you know, knowing how much love there was. You know, I would come home, for instance, and then my mom would have food ready for me, and you know, like I'd come home from school, and then my mom would have food ready for me. She would always be smiling. She'd ask me how my day was, that kind of stuff, and it's like that kind of stuff. Like that's one of the things that I wanted in my life. I remember it's like I went to college, for instance. I graduated in marketing, and I when I was close to graduation, I spoke to this one woman. I with her. She was like a professional. She was in marketing, and then she was a nice woman. And then she told me, she said she took off 10 years from the workplace, from the marketing field, and she regretted it. And she was like a pretty prominent person, but she took 10 years off to focus for her kids, and she regretted it. And you know, I was kind of like, I was thinking to myself, like, I didn't disclose this to her at all, right? You know, I never disclosed to her that my mom was a stay-at-home mom or anything like that. But she told me, what I remember this woman telling me was this, is that one of the last things she told me, after she gave me this little tour, she said, the most successful women in these fields are single and childless. And then once she told me that, I kid you not, it's like I said, fuck it, I'm not doing marketing. Because I thought to myself, and I know some of you guys might have thought that was extreme, and maybe that wasn't, you know, maybe I interpreted it wrong, but I thought of it this way. The most important thing to me is actually having strong family bonds, having a strong family relationship. And I didn't, how would I put it this way? I didn't like the idea of that. It seemed like, according to that woman, she'd been in the field for a number of years now. So, that if you want to be successful, you need to give your all to this, and you have to be single and childless. Either that or you're going to be losing out. And I thought to myself, like, what kind of life is that? I don't want to have this whole thing where it's like I felt like I would have to like decide between, you know, kids or the career. So it's like I said, screw it. I don't want to get into this rat race. And I know some people would, you're looking at a bee now. Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, you know, I'm like, I don't do these things for like, for views or anything. This is just me sharing things. And a lot of people, they just listen to my videos and they just listen to it like a podcast of sorts. But I didn't want to I didn't want to put myself in that rat race. And I know some people, when I shared this with them, they thought, you know, what a mistake you made. You know, you should have gone into the marketing field. You spent those you went into business school. You went into college. You had great grades. And I basically got straight A's in my business college. And I worked really hard at it, but it's like my heart just sank because I thought, you know, what do I really want? Do I really want to live a life where I just feel like I would just be in this freaking race between deciding, okay, do you want to have a family, and do you want to like have the stress or think of your kids possibly as liability? And I didn't want to tell it to that woman, but I kind of feel like, and what I picked up is like she felt like she was being punished for having kids because she took 10 years off to raise her kids. And I'm sure her kids are fantastic kids, but it's like the industry is not for kids. People can, of course, you know, work and have kids at the same time, but the way it sounded like to me was yeah, you're better off just being single and childless and not having any kids, not having any distractions. Focus everything in on just working, working for a business or a marketing firm and just slave away, that kind of thing. Another thing I will share with you, and because I'm not in that field, is the people that I did meet in the marketing field. They are the most, and this is gonna sound, this is just my opinion now. They are kind of very shallow, very superficial, party, party, party. Rub shoulders with people, and that's not like the kind of person that I want to be. So it's like I put two and two together. I said, okay, well, one woman is telling me that most successful people are the ones who are single and childless. And then I see the people who are in the field, who are the innovators and the influencers, shall I say, the rock stars, and they just like party and they just name drop themselves, and I kind of, I'm like, I don't want to freaking do that. I don't want to do that. So I just I just said okay. So yeah, I didn't choose that, and I don't regret not choosing that. But it's like, so by the time that I got done with um, my degree, like my mom already passed away. So my mom passed away in the middle of my, well, probably like in the first. My mom passed away kind of like in the middle of the 1/3 of my uh, college stay, college career, shall I say, college stay. And it's interesting because when I look at my GPA, okay? So when my mom was alive, I was basically like a B student, sometimes C student. I really kind of kicked back and kind of thing like that. And then after she passed away, it's like my my grades suddenly went off to like A's, A minus, B plus, A minus, A minus, that kind of stuff. And I think part of it is that, like, I remember the day that my mom passed away. I remember distinctively, like, the first thing I did, one of the first things I did when I got on the computer is I looked up statistics. I wanted to look up the statistics about what the chances of me being screwed up in the head was. And it was pretty high. It was pretty high. They were saying that they were saying that, of course I would need to probably go to sleep therapy. My chances of being mentally healthy weren't very good. And that was one of those things. It's like I looked at it and, a possible drug use, that kind of thing, and I thought, frick, I can kind of understand going down a deep dark path. So I didn't want to be part of that statistic. So that's why I kind of buckled down and I did really good in my college career. And I look back and I'm like, yeah, I'm really proud of that. The only downside, like I said, is that after I got out, I was like, frick, I don't want to do. Or before I got out, I was like, frick, I don't want to do marketing, and I spent all this time doing marketing, and then I didn't. I also got a degree in international business, and believe it or not, English. Believe it or not, English. Yes, I know I go and all the time, but English. Anybody can get an English degree. Having English degree is not like you're really good at speaking English. I'm proof of that. My writing's proof of that. You just got to take the courses and that's it. Originally, backstory. Originally, what the reason why I wanted to do English is because I wanted to get into law school, and that was what I wanted to do. Except I thought about it, and I was like, frick, Erica, I don't really want to be a lawyer. Sounds kind of boring, and I heard so much times if you be a lawyer, you just got to do paperwork, and I'm like, oh. So I pivoted but because I was basically halfway done through the English degree, I was like, frick, I'll just do marketing because marketing looks pretty cool. And then, a few more classes, then I get an international business degree. I'll do that too. So I got a marketing degree, no, English degree, marketing degree, international business degree, and then yeah. Let me see. Let me read back this stuff. Yeah, that's Oreo over there. No, I'm actually I knew someone else who did that. Someone went into finance degree and then they dropped that and then they decided to work for health insurance and I was like there's a lot of people it's like they go into business school and they end up doing something like retail sales or something like that. So just because you get at let's say a accounting degree doesn't mean you're going to be an accountant. Just because you get a biology degree doesn't mean you're going to be a biologist. You could do anything. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, so you guys know I'm an only child as well. But you know the weird thing is that like I hear people say like only childs tend to be kind of spoiled and they're very like selfish. I don't find that to be the case at least for me. And I know some only childs and I think like how would I say it? If you have only one child, you put more focus of course on that one child and then you can kind of like focus, right? Making sure that kid kind of goes on the right path. But the only downside is if you only have one kid and something happens to that one kid, let's say if they die an untimely death, then you're kind of screwed as a parent, big time because it's not like you have another child to pass on the you know pass on the bloodline or something like that. So, and I think people have a concern that sometimes if they have an only child, right, will their child return to take care of them if something happens, or they're just gonna just kind of live their own life. And yeah, like sometimes it's like I see that like with someone I know. So I'm really good friends with one of my exes, and he has a brother. He has a younger brother, and the brother is often in another state. Now the brother doesn't give a crap about the parents, and even though the parents are getting up there in age, they don't really have to think about it because one child is in Hawaii, so they can still, if anything happens to the parents, like the child that's in the Hawaii, which is my ex, can take care of the parents. So, um, of course, right? People don't really like to think about it too much, and I also think that it's very important to have strong bonds with one's family. I shared with you guys, for instance, my grandma, who is I think 91 or 92 years old. After the situation happened and lockdown occurred, my uncle, who is from the East Coast, he flew over back to Hawaii to watch over my grandma, and she I think it was like last month or something. She sat down in a park, and she misjudged how far back the park bench was. So she actually ended up falling down because when she went to take she thought the seat was right behind her, but it wasn't. So she ended up falling down. She hit her head to go to the hospital, and I thank the lucky stars that my uncle was there to watch over her, because if she was by herself and he wasn't there, right, what would have happened to her? One of the biggest things I think we worry about the elderly is what happens if they fall down and nobody's there. So you hear about, what was it, life alert or something like that, the little thing on their neck where they press the button. It's like, help, I've fallen and I can't get up. um I really, really hope that people kind of think about their family, especially if they can telecommute and then just watch over aging family members, because yeah, I've heard such stories where it's like people pass away and then they're not found for an extended period amount of time because like nobody checks up on them. Yeah, you can. You know what? I think that yeah, it's never too late to get a college degree, and good for you for going into to go after education if that's what you want to do. Because sometimes it's like people have these dreams, and then they think, oh, I'm too old for that. I'm gonna be with a bunch of like 19-year-olds or 20-year-old. I'm gonna, it's too old, I don't want to be thought of as like the old one. But truly, 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 the people who were older in my college classes, I had so much respect for them because I thought, these are people who want to expand their mind, they want to learn new things. Maybe they want to get a college degree. Some people, they just take classes here and there, so I don't know what their college path was. But yeah, it's important to always learn new things and um, move forward. So, a question: do I feel an obligation to reproduce? I feel like having a child is a beautiful thing, but I do believe that people should have a child if possible. If possible, they should bring up a child in a loving and stable environment because children are really like sponges. And I don't believe also that children need to have both parents, and I'll tell you why. Because sometimes, and I've met people who have had parents that divorced, by the way. Sometimes if the parents don't get along and they're together just for the sake of the child will not have a healthy opinion about relationships. And for instance, I knew someone whose parents never argued in front of them. So the parents thing was is that they would take a drive and they would leave the kids at home and then they would argue in the car and the kids never ever saw an argument ever. So when the parents actually ended up getting divorced, it blindsided both of the kids. And the mom got custody, and then the mom fed all these lies to the kids about the dad, and the dad didn't know that. You see, the dad had he was supposed to see the kids every year, but the mom would tell him things like, oh yeah, the kids don't want to see you, they're busy with school, they have year-round school. And they're in the US, we don't have a thing like year-round school. And he didn't have the finances, I'm assuming, to fly out to visit his kids. So he would call up the kids, and I think he had definitely had visitation rights, but it wasn't exercised or anything like that. So he'd call up the kids, and then the mom would say stuff like, "Oh, yeah, they don't want to talk to you." Or if the kids did talk to the dad, the mom would monitor exactly what the kids were telling to the dad. And what the dad didn't know, and he was paying child support, was this: he was paying child support, and the mom had a spending problem. That's the reason why they got divorced. And the mom was so selfish. Listen to this: she rather have her kids starve than buy less crap. So the kids were going hungry, and they ended up having to work at 15, or at as early as they can, like it was either 15 or 16 years old, because if they did not have enough, they didn't have enough money for food. And for instance, their school lunch went up, I think, 25 cents a meal. And instead of paying, I think it was only like a couple dollars more a month for that, like the mom refused to give them any more money. And school lunch for public school is not that expensive. The dad had no idea about this because the mom was monitoring the costs. So what I'm trying to get at is this: it's very important to have a very I think it's very possible to co-parent. I think that it's important that if people do get divorced, that they think that they have respect and they treat each other very well, because there are sometimes relationships don't work out. But it doesn't mean that that person is a total piece of crap. And you guys, like I've shared with you guys, that I still talk to two of my exes occasionally, and it's like I don't hate them and they don't hate me, and I really truly wish them the best in life. And I think that when you've spent like a good chunk of your life with the person, right, or you got to know them well, it doesn't mean that if a relationship ends that person is like evil or terrible or anything like that. I hear updates about my exes and the people that they're dating, and I fully support it. I say, hey, you do what makes you happy, and if someone isn't making you happy, then you need to make, you got to focus about yourself. And my exes, they feel comfortable sharing things with me because they know that at the end of the day, I want what's best for them. And for me, it's like I didn't feel like I was that good fit for them. So, and for them, it's like I feel like they weren't going to be happy with someone else. So people who do co-parent, it's very important to kind of have this healthy relationship with the with the person that they're divorced from, and say, hey, you know what, we should be friends, and we should still respect and care for each other, and then that way the kids will be able to see a healthy relationship. Even if people aren't together, it doesn't have to be a smear campaign. Because if you do a smear campaign against the let's say uh, um, the partner, right, or the ex-partner, the kids will say like, oh, okay, well, I guess if anybody leaves me, then they're bad, right? And then that's not a healthy thing. So it's really good, I think, when if people do get divorced, and let's say one person move to another partner, try to get along with the other partner, and tell the kids, hey, you know what, so and so has another partner, and yeah, try to get along with that other person, and hopefully that person is hopefully that new partner is a scumbag. I think it's very important, if possible, to vouch through people that people decide to have kids with, because kids are a lifetime commitment. I don't view kids as like an 18-year commitment and that's it. I mean, kids are going to be a lot, it's like you might only be legally responsible to them for 18 years, but it goes way beyond that, for sure. So being a parent is a tremendous responsibility. Yeah, you know what? I mean, like, I think there's a way to have a divorce and like break it to the kids and say, you know what, we decide. I don't, I forgot what Gwen Paltrow was. She said we have decided to mutually uncouple or something like that. But I think that if you draw things out and kids are involved, and it's just not healthy. So I think that kids can be very emotionally mature, and if their parents go through a divorce, it doesn't mean like the kids are going to be screwed up. I don't believe that at all. I think that they can definitely keep in contact with both parents, either Zoom meetings or something like that, and then just make sure that. I think it's important to have a close bond with both parents, even if the parents are divorced. Let me put it that way. But it's, you got to make sure that whoever has custody of the kids, if it's like if it's a primary, if one parent has primary custody, like the person who has primary custody is not shady or anything like that. You got to make sure that they're mature, or they don't do a smear campaign, because like I had shared with that person whose mom had custody of them, right, them and their sibling, the dad didn't get to see the kids, so they were able to feed all these lies to the kids about the dad. But yeah, I do think kids are an amazing gift. It's they're amazing, but it is a huge responsibility, and gotta make sure, if possible, because I know there are some unplanned kids, and people do their best, right? But if possible, try to make sure that you have a really good partner, a partner that has a good head, that is someone that you feel comfortable, that your kids could look up to and say, I want to be like my mom, or I want to be like my dad. And through that kind of thing, if kids pick up that parents have a good relationship with one another, and they have respect for each other, and they treat each other with respect, they talk to each other respectfully, that kid will be very, very emotionally mature for their age. But if you end up, if you have kids with someone who, let's say, is not emotionally mature, or can't even take care of themselves, or it's like all they do is just, let's say, let me give an example. All they do is just sit on the TV all day, and they just watch TV and drink beer all day, and they yell at you, and they just, like, that kind of person. I don't think that person would be good at raising kids, for example. The other parent would most likely have to be the primary parent, and I don't think that would be a healthy environment for a child either, because when a child sees, let's say, their parent watching TV, drinking a beer, not caring for themselves, not respecting other people, let's say flicking people off, that kind of stuff, the kid is going to pick up and be like the same thing. So I think that, it's very important to kind of watch yourself, how you treat your kids. And I remember, okay, this is a funny story I'm going to share with you guys, okay? So I remember when I was a little kid, my dad had a little road rage issue. So, and I know this because my mom told me about this incident later on, okay? So I was a very quiet kid. I used to sit in the back seat of my dad's car. And people cut him off. He would say "F you," and he would stick his middle finger up in the rearview mirror. So I remember my dad doing that, and that was just, his habit to him. Even though the windows are up, he would yell "F you" or anything like that. Now, keep in mind, like I said, I love my dad so much. I adore and respect him so much. But just keep this in mind, okay? So I was a little kid, quiet, shy little kid, and I see my dad doing this. One day, my mom gets into a disagreement with one of her friends. And it's not even a heated disagreement. They're just in a disagreement, right, about something. And here I am. I think I'm about like 5 or 6 years old. And then I go up to my mom and I said, "Give him the finger." And my mom's like, "What? What are you saying?" And I'm like telling my mom to give her friend the finger. And my mom was so shocked, and she was so embarrassed, and she knew exactly where that mindset came from. So she probably had a very stern talking with my dad. And let's just put it this way: I never saw my dad flick off anybody in the rearview mirror again. So, yeah, so you might think kids don't notice this kind of stuff, but kids do notice this stuff. And if my mom got any call from my kindergarten or my pre-kindergarten, I forgot how, I know I was younger than 7. But if my mom got any kid from the kindergarten saying Erica got into a disagreement with one of her classmates and she gave him a finger and said "F you," my mom would know exactly where that language came from, because she'd be like, "Huh, well, my mom doesn't curse. Huh, so where could that language have come from? Who else is in this household? So anyway, so always be mindful about being around kids, what you say to kids, and don't do anything like flick off people in the rearview mirror in front of your small child, because the small child's gonna think when you're mad, or if someone does something to you that makes you mad, it's okay to say "F you" and give them the finger. That was my go-to thing. That was my thinking. That was my logic when I was a little kid. Thankfully, I didn't do that to any of my classmates. But yeah, my mom did not expect that. She did not expect her darling little daughter to tell her to give the finger to her friend. Let me see here. It's best to have kids before 30, just being saying, you know what? I have spoken to a few people, and they told me there's like this advanced geriatric age, and that starts when you're 35 years old. I'm already 32. So with that in mind, technically I should be thinking about the quality of my eggs. But here's the thing. I think that, people have concerns about having a kid before 35 or by age 35 because the kid is at more risk of having some genetic disorders. I know like the risk of Down syndrome increases with age. I also think that maybe there's just like there's lower quality eggs. So maybe there's more of a chance of like possible miscarriage if you have kids at a later age. But yeah, I don't like to think of my life like tick 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 tick, because if I do it that way, that would just be like thinking like, oh, okay, I got to do this by this time, either that or yeah, I don't think about my life that way. I would just be like, you know what, when I want to have kids one day, I'll have kids, but here's my thing. I want to have a kid with a person that I am married to. And you guys can call me old fashioned and stuff, but this is my reasoning. I really do believe in the institution, and I think that that's like, I know some people are very risk adverse about getting married. They say like, oh well, she's gonna steal everything from me. But there's this thing called a prenup. There's a thing called a prenup. And then the other thing too is that if you do not want to marry a person, okay, keep in mind celebrities get married too, right? And they get really good attorneys. But I think like if you don't want to get married because you're afraid about someone taking all your money, then that tells me that you think your view on that person is that they're untrustworthy. And I've heard some people say that. They say like, oh yeah, never ever get married to a woman, because if you get married, she's gonna take all your money, and then you're gonna be homeless, and then yeah, like if you're picking a person that you want to get married to consciously, you should be able to say, huh, is this a high quality woman, or is this a woman who's just with me because I'm a guy or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Or is she with me because, let's say, I'm worth like $1 billion or something like that? I do think it's very important for males to screen women and not just focus on things like looks, because I know some guys, right? You guys heard about the Hilaria Baldwin situation? So she met Alex Baldwin. She claimed she didn't know him. She also claimed that she was from Spain. Alex Baldwin is like a rich actor of sorts. He always plays like, I think he plays Donald Trump on SNL, but I might be remembering wrong. But anyway, so he was kind of like leading and telling all the people in the media like, oh yeah, she's Spanish and she's born from Spain. It comes out that, guess what? She wasn't born from Spain. Her Spanish accent was fake. Allegedly from Spanish speakers, her Spanish accent was a terrible Spanish accent. It was like Vergara. You know what I'm talking about, the Modern Family woman, the really beautiful one. Her. Yeah, but it's like they wanted to imitate what they believe a Spanish person to speak like. Anyway, so she hooked Alex Baldwin, I guess, hook, line, and sinker, and then she proceeded to have like 3 or 4 kids with him, like boom, boom, rapid succession, right? Like boom, 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 boom. And then it comes out, I think, like earlier last month, that she's not Spanish. In fact, the genealogist went back and they looked at her family lineage and they said, yeah, she ain't Spanish. So, poor, Alex Baldwin, telling people, oh, she's Spanish and she's from Majorca, Spain, and things like that. He looks like a fool. But the reason why he was probably with her is because he thought she was an exotic, hot thing. And even a guy like that, it's like he still felt comfortable trusting her. So anyway, whoever people decide to marry, they got to do thorough research. Make sure that this person's a genuine person. I think that you can tell a lot about a person through moments that people wouldn't really think about. So, for instance, right? How do they handle a situation when they find out like a loved one passes away? Right? How do they speak about other people? Do they do actions that are selfish, or do they do actions that they perceive to be for the better of like the whole? So, yeah, I that's and yeah, so I believe that as beautiful as some women are or some men are, just don't fall into like the honey trap kind of thing. You gotta focus on people's personality. You gotta focus on the people's character, because if that person gets hit by a car and loses a limb or two, or gets disfigured in some freak accident, like, will you still care about them, or are you gonna be like, yeah, you're not hot anymore, so I'm gonna divorce you because you're not hot? Like, I don't want to be with a person, um, and this is just my thinking. Like, I would never want to be with a person where it's like I have concerns. Like, if I'm not attractive, then they would leave me. Like, if I got like, I don't know, like if my hand, if I lost my hand in some kind of automobile accident, they'll be like, yeah, I don't want to be with a three-limbed chick. Yeah, ta-ta, I'm out of here. So that's why I think that that's why I think marriage is important, because I see marriage as like a very, very serious thing. I don't believe in any of those like quickie, oh yeah, we got drunk and we got married at Las Vegas or something like that. I see it as a very serious thing. I see it as something that needs to be honored and respected, and both parties need to think very seriously. Get married to an Oreo. Oh, oh my goodness. Yeah, Baron Trump is so tall. Oh my goodness. It's like six. He's over 6 feet. Oh yeah, Noosa. Yeah, you heard about those women who it's like they're really attractive, but then once they hit like 40, or they take care of themselves, right? They take care of themselves. They got the teeth whitening. They go out to yoga. They get their manicures done. But then, so a guy is with them because they look hot, right? But then the guy meets a 25-year-old girl, and despite having a long relationship with this woman, he's like, screw you, you old hag. I'm gonna go for the 25-year-old. I feel like I don't know too much about it, but I felt like Kelsey Grammer was kind of like that. His wife Camille. Yeah, I just felt really bad for her. I felt really bad for her when I heard about what happened. So yeah, I would not want to be, and I think that other people should have the same standards. Like, you don't want to be with a person who you think like once you hit 40 or something, it's like, bye, I'm gonna get someone better than you, someone younger than you, not better, but someone younger than you who's more aesthetic than you. Because here's the thing, you can always make a person look better. A person can always, take care of themselves more, but if you only view a person based on their looks, then that's pretty messed up. Because that's no different than being with a dummy. You know what I'm saying? Like a mannequin or something. I do know, and this might be a little TMI, but I remember that I remember like there was this one person that I know, and they were with a wonderful person, and they decided, listen to this, they decided to end their relationship. You know why? Because they decided that they rather be with someone who is they rather spend their time with someone who's inanimate. And I'm gonna leave it at that. So I was, it's like, goodness. When I heard about it, I thought it was like a bullet dodge, and I felt so sick because I was like, really? What? That's what you think happened? And then I thought about it. I was like, yeah, well, good for the person who found out, because can you imagine feeling like you're inferior to a freaking mannequin of sorts? You know those people who have like those like Dave Chan kind of thing. If you guys know what I'm talking about, you might want to Google it. I think it was Dave Chan and Sidori, Sidore. So, yeah, it's like things like that. You hear about that kind of thing, it's like, frick. Normal. What if that supermodel body? Easy. Okay, this is what happens. If you're dating a person who is attractive and then that person uh gets into an automobile accident, ends up with a big scar on their face, there's a very easy solution to that. You dump them. You dump them because they're not into the aesthetic standard that a person wants. And this is my issue with the Instagram thing. You know, like the whole Instagram thing, the filter stuff. It's like you look at the women there and they look so nice and they have the perfect lighting and they got the perfect cheekbones. They got no pores and everything's all filtered out. And then people think, oh yeah, well I want to have a chick like that because that chick is hot. Yeah, I deserve to have a chick like that because that chick is hot, and I don't want to be with like normal chicks. I want to be with a really good looking chick, like gorgeous chick, like Victoria's Secret model chick or something like that, or supermodel chick. But here's my thinking, okay? You go with let's say you end up with a chick like that. You gotta ask, like, does that chick have values? Does she actually have character, or is she just a pretty face? Because I find this, there are some women who can balance good looks and brains and character, but there are also women who I see, and I say this as a female who's had conversations with chicks. It's like their whole life is a freaking makeup in their body, and I think it's very sad. And I'm not speaking as a hater, but I think it's very sad when a person just leads with their body and that's about it. It's like, okay, you spent all your time and energy on your body, but let's talk about, what are you passionate in besides contouring your face? You know, what do you like to do besides party? What are your goals in life? That kind of thing. How do you treat people who don't wear makeup? How do you treat a person who's not rich? And yeah, I mean, like, I do acknowledge that there are people out there where they'll say, well, a guy should, a guy shouldn't just like date below his means, or if a guy wants to go for a supermodel, or if he dreams of a supermodel, then Erica, you should support the supermodel thing. But there's very few women who are looking like the walking Instagram people. Very few. I've met women where I see their Instagram and they look gorgeous, and then I see them in person. Like, I've known them first, and then I find out their Instagram later, and I'm like, this is the same chick? Like, this doesn't look like the same chick. So yeah, it's very unhealthy if there's a person who doesn't spend too much time, especially out meeting real women, and they're on Instagram or on Facebook and they see all these heavily filtered, perfectly curled, perfectly styled hair, no stray hair, and then they think, oh, there's real women out there exist, or something like that. It's just not in their area. So they never give women a chance, and they're around other women because they're thinking, well, I saw this girl and she had a six pack or something like that, or she has perfectly straight, white, beautiful, blinding teeth. But yeah, I don't find that kind of chick here where I live. It's like, well, yeah, most chicks don't have perfectly straight model teeth. Most people don't get their teeth whitened to that extent. Dermablend, not Tumblr. No, no, no. Here's the thing, Dushra. Dermablend, no, because why would you be around a woman who covers up her scar? You should be with a flawless woman, absolutely flawless, that doesn't fart, perfect woman. And if a woman has a wrinkle, then she's like yesterday's newspaper, too old and unwanted. Like, that's what some people think, and I think ageism is a really pathetic thing, because like I said, I have known women and I have known men who are much older than me, and I think, man, these people are people that I want to be like, or something like that. They have that confidence, they have that maturity, and sometimes real confidence comes from experience. So you feel more confident in yourself because you've gone through some real shit in life, and you know that you can get through it. So I don't believe in the whole ageism thing. I think when people hyper focus on youth and they think like, oh yeah, I only want to be with you know what I'm talking about, like those MGTOW people who are like, yeah, don't be with a chick who's over 25, because when she hits 25, then she hits the wall. I'm like, dude, those people are the same people who is like, yeah, I'm just gonna bang chicks every day, and yeah, chicks, As long as I got money, I got chicks. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. And again, you guys can call me old fashioned. But I think when people think on their deathbed, they're gonna want to feel love, and they want to be surrounded by people that love them. If I was on my deathbed, I would not want to. I would not give a crap about being with the most aesthetic people around me. It's like people should surround themselves with people who are quality, people who love them, not people who are like hot or got big boobs or great biceps or six packs or buns made out of steel, that kind of thing. Those things can last if a person takes care of them. There are some people who are incredibly shaped when they're 60 years old, but to disregard a person or to throw out a person simply because they're over the age of 25, that's a really stupid thing to do. And I know some people would say, "Well, Erica, what about Leo DiCaprio? Leo DiCaprio can do that." I'm like, yeah, but Leo DiCaprio is a multimillionaire. A lot of these people who are like pro MGTOW kind of thing, it's like those people, or just like I think some people, it's like they don't put themselves out there. Or they got burned by a bad woman, and then they go on this whole thing where they think like all women are bad, like all women are evil. So you got to treat, I have a friend, and he got screwed over by his ex-wife. So yeah, just don't trust women. Don't ever get married because women are bad. Women are bad. Don't ever think that she'll be there for you because she cheated on my friend, and if she cheated on my friend, then another woman would cheat on you, and so don't get married. Don't ever get married. Like that kind of fear mongering thing that doesn't create trust. That creates suspicion, that creates paranoia, and that creates, in my opinion, an unhealthy view about relationships. Drew was with someone on farting terms. Yeah, so just yeah, it's like I used to spend a lot of time watching specific MGTOW people. Yeah, I'm actually pretty familiar with a lot of the big MGTOW people, believe it or not. I've been watching it for years. I kind of toned down on it because after a while it got to the same thing. Guy, woman screws over guy. Guy wonders what happened. Advice is don't trust women. Like that's basically it. Or yeah, women don't care about you. They just care about, like the money that you have in your pocketbook or what you're going to spend on them. But here's the thing. I can tell you from my views on this. You can have all the money in the world, but if you aren't around people that care about you, then what use is that money? You can be in a $2 million house, and you can go and think like, oh, okay, all the chicks are gonna bang me and everything, but what is life if you don't really have much connection with other people? I think that'll be a very lonely life. And I think sometimes it's like when people they have this view like women are disposable, and as long as they have money, like women will flock to them. I think that's wrong because women, a quality woman, would not just kind of see a guy as their meal ticket. You see what I'm saying? Like it wouldn't be like, okay, the guy's broken, then the woman would be like, yeah, I don't want to be with you anymore because you're not financing my $200 da 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 or something like that. And it's kind of tough because it's like sometimes it's like I catch us thinking where guys want high quality women, supermodels, but it's like they don't want to spend money on these women. So it's like, okay, so you feel like you should be with a really like 10 out of 10 woman or 9 out of 10 woman. I've actually spoken to a few of these guys, by the way. You want a 9 or 10 out of 10 woman, but you don't want to finance the lifestyle that's required with the 9 or 10 out of woman. You think the woman is just going to be attracted to you when you provide nothing. You don't even go out to meet women, but you think somehow a woman like this would just appear. And because a woman like this hasn't appeared to you, and you don't go out to meet women who could possibly be a 9 to 10 out of 10, then you don't like women. You see what I'm getting at? Like if you don't, it's like it turns into like a loop thing where you got guys who are like, I want to be with attractive women. I want to be around ugly women, but I don't want to go out there to meet these attractive women. So okay, okay. But anyway, so don't focus too much on looks. You can always, if a woman uh, is kind of dowdy looking, I'm kind of like on team dowdy over here most of the time. She can always get makeup. She can always go to a hairstylist. She can always get a stylist, or to read something like, I don't know, style magazines or something like that, style TV, get her friends to be a stylist for her. It is so much easier to make up a woman and have her be take care of herself more than it is than just finding a chick who is just very one-dimensional and like her best asset would be her looks and her age. I think here's the thing, like you can have a relationship without you can have a healthy relationship without marriage, but my stance is that I don't want to have kids unless I'm married, because I would want to explain to the kids like, hey, you know what, um mommy and daddy, right? Mommy and daddy met each other and we really loved each other, and then we got married, and then when we felt like we were ready, then we decided to have you. And explain it that way and say marriage is, I believe marriage is a sacred institution. So, and that's something that should be upheld. So I don't believe in this whole thing where people they have issues and the first thing they do is they hit the divorce button, like they do, when you're running on a treadmill, and when you got the big red stop button. Like some people, they're really quick to pull the plug on divorce. And my thinking is, it's like, you really should know that person. You really should feel like you know them, like you have a really good base with them before you decide to get married. And you got to make sure that both parties are kind of on the same level. Because if you got one person who wants to get married just for the sake of being married, and you got the other person who's like, okay, I'll get married because you want to get married. It's like that. That isn't. But if you have both people who are very committed to each other and says, hey, you know what? We've known each other for a while, and I think that we're ready to take it to a next level and possibly have kids. Like that's when I think marriage should come. But of course, I know there are a good number of people who have kids before marriage or kids outside of marriage. Yeah, that's fine too. But for me personally, I believe in marriage before kids. Yep. Marriage is supposed to be through good times to bad. People just kind of see it saddens me when people see marriage and they just kind of think like, oh, okay, I'm not going to take the marriage thing seriously. Or they just kind of forget why they took the vows. Does that make sense? Like that really saddens me when I see things like that. The whole thing about marriage is this, and this is my interpretation of it. You get married because you do it in front of your friends and family, typically because you want to like kind of pledge your love to people and say, hey, you know what? I'm really serious about this person. I promise to all these people in front of me that I'm not going to screw this thing up, and I'm going to respect them, and I'm going to take care of them, and I want people in this audience to kind of, you know, follow suit. Like make sure that you have a stable partner, make sure that you be supportive and kind of stuff. And yes, I do understand that sometimes people do have to get divorces, and there are certain circumstances that I do believe that it is right to get a divorce. So I'm not anti-divorce, like, but I do think that people need to put more weight into marriage. Sometimes you hear about like domestic violence cases, where people get married, and then after they get married, then kind of stuff happens. Or typically, actually, this stuff happened before they got married, but they just chose to overlook it. But the domestic divorce, like, definitely get divorced. Like, get out of there. Oh yeah, definitely, Andrea. Yeah, I heard some models, they don't even shave their legs because they're like, we'll just get the airbrush to do that. Yeah, so anyway, I gotta get going. But I will talk to you guys later. I just wanted to share with you guys my thoughts. And yeah, I just want to be, a better person. And I'm not talking about just like being a better person internally. I think that I'm not that bad of a person. But in terms of what I expect from myself, I want to expect more. And that's part of the reasons why I've been kind of like looking more into investing, because I think about it this way, and this is my thinking about it. I say, I know there are people who are really good at investing and they're able to make money from this, and I want to kind of learn those skills. Like, even, and I have a long portfolio, by the way. So it's not like I'm thinking about like, oh, day trading, like, okay, throwing money and day trade and that kind of stuff. But um I want to kind of understand when people look at charts and then they talk about like PE ratios more and that kind of stuff. I think I have a lot that I can learn, and so I've been kind of looking at that stuff. I've been researching companies. You guys know, for instance, I'm like I've been kind of like looking down like the whole the whole flurry of stocks, and I'm like, okay, let me see. Let me like take a good look at my stock portfolio and see what I can call. So I called out Alibaba, and I'm happy because now it's like I don't have to ask the question to myself, where the hell is Jack Ma in the world? He's laying low, but there was something on my recommended feed today that got released 3 days ago where people are wondering, why Jack Ma hasn't shown up. Where's Jack Ma? Is Jack Ma okay? Did the Chinese government do something to him? And anyway, it's not my problem anymore because, as you know, I don't have to worry about it in terms of my stock portfolio because I got rid of Alibaba, and I'm so happy about it. I do hope Jack Ma's okay. I do hope Alibaba's okay. But anything that happens to Alibaba stock, I don't have to worry about that having that weight on my mind. And it was just kind of depressing because it's like I look at like Alibaba from October 2020 to now. It's like, ugh, I don't know when it's gonna go back up. I don't want to be the bag holder. So I sold out of it. And when Jack Ma appears, maybe not, who knows, I'll buy back into Alibaba. But right now I'm like, Jack Ma's okay, but at least I don't have to see Alibaba's stock go down 2%, which is what happened today. The whole market was kind of basically down today. Amazon went down because of the Parler stuff. Twitter went down because they banned Trump. Um, what else? Google went down as well because of the Parler stuff. Facebook went down because Parler stuff or some related stuff. Basically, everything went down, and even Tesla went down. But Neo went up, and Nvidia went up as well. And yeah, there are some stocks that went up, but a lot of them just went down. And Bitcoin went down, of course, the market correction or so. But yeah, curious to see what happens to the stock market. I think my stocks are going to be completely fine long. It's just, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. And I understand that like some people, they look at the stock right now, or even like the new Bitcoin investors, they're probably scared shitless. I know I would be scared shitless if I was investing at these levels, but like, can you imagine you're holding at like 40K and then it dropped down to 30,900 and you saw that drop? Ugh, that'd be sickening. That'd be really sickening. Stocks are like poker. Those that manage risk not too bit too much. There's like, I believe strongly in diversifying, very very strongly in diversifying, and then whatever stock you invest in, make sure that um, there's a long term vision for it. Because if there's like if you invest in a stock, like, let me put an example here. Fitbit, for instance. I know some people would say, I don't know how Fitbit stock is doing. I don't know how but I kind of think like Fitbit has so much competitors, and I don't understand Fitbit very well. But I'm thinking like there's a lot of people who with like the Apple Watch or something. Like the Fitbit thing, I just saw it as very one dimensional. Versus like Apple, you got Apple laptop, Apple computer, desktop, Apple Watch, Apple iPod, AirPods, I don't know if they still make the iPod. The HomePod, that sort of thing. They're doing the Apple Fitness thing now. They have a lot of revenue streams, and then they have the Apple Car coming out too. So when you put all in all together, like that's a pretty well diversified company. And it might not be as glamorous as shooting up, like let's say, like Tesla, for instance, but I kind of think like, oh, okay, well, I'm not seeing a lot of those Apple users stop using their Apple products, especially if it's all well integrated. So I think Apple's a pretty good company to invest in. And then the more products they make, the more ways they can draw people into the Apple ecosystem. And yeah, so for instance, I only use a MacBook daily. Like I don't have an iPhone or anything like that. I don't use an iPhone. I'm using an Android. But yeah, I love my MacBook so much, and I know that there's going to be a lot of people telling me I could do better if I got a PC, but you know what? I like using my MacBook. I love using my MacBook. There's a lot of people who just like using a MacBook because it works. And I think those people who are comfortable using a MacBook, those people would say, huh, if I had to get a phone, well, because I already use an iCloud or something, maybe I should get an iPhone. And yeah, if I get the iPhone, then I should get the AirPods too. Or maybe I'll get the Beats because the Beats are sold at Apple too. You get what I'm saying? Like it goes from one thing to another, and investing in a company that's well diversified is very good. And then you also got like Amazon, right? Amazon is not just Amazon, the online company. They also have like the web hosting stuff. And that is a huge thing. AWS, I believe. And then they're getting into pharmacy. They also have Whole Foods, as you guys know. So Amazon is huge. Amazon Prime, so it's very, very well diversified. So I feel a lot more comfortable than that, than just investing in like Fitbit. Like what am I gonna do with Fitbit? So it going like that, I feel like there's less risk on there. Of course, Apple stock can drop. Apple stock dropped like 2% today. Amazon stock dropped. But the long-term view of that after this Parler stuff goes away, people are going to continue using their Amazon account. Or you might have people. I did hear that there are people who, I think 20,000 people close their Amazon accounts, but yeah, it sounds like a lot, but how many Amazon users are there out there in the world? And there's more than 20,000. So there's a lot of things. So that kind of stuff, those kind of companies is good. And then JD, you guys know about that. Like I've been holding JD when it dropped down to 20. It's like I believe so much in JD because it's not just an online company, they also deal with logistics as well. So it's like I think about like, huh, okay, they're always expanding. They have partnerships with like Google, Walmart, for example. And I think Google put like a $500 million investment in them. I was like, whoa, that's a lot of money. And this was like I think 2018, 2019ish. But I'm hearing about that. I think like, yeah, maybe JD's gonna go up. So um, but of course, when you're the longer you invest in a certain company, if the stock goes down, you're like, even though, let's put it this way, like even though the stock goes down, it doesn't shake you too much if you have like a good profit margin. So some people, right? Some people have been investing in Tesla for a long time. Let's say they have a 500% profit margin. If the stock goes down 5% today, they could care less. They're like, I don't give a shit if 5% goes down. I have a 500% profit margin. Okay, 495% profit margin. So I believe in holding long, and holding long, I think, is the way to go. But also important to kind of reevaluate stocks and see which one is kind of the laggers and which one's the movers. So like that's why I'm pro Amazon, and it's like one. I know some people would like look at the Amazon chart and say, well, um, You know, it hasn't really moved much. I think in 2020 it didn't move too much. I think since July, but I could be remembering wrong. It's kind of stagnant around 3,000 to 3,300, like around that range. And now it went lower, so it's like 300, 100 something right now. But I'm pretty damn sure when earnings comes out, I think it's either on the it's either on the 27th, 28th, or 29th. I think Apple's on the 27th, Amazon's on the 28th, and I think AKTS is on the 29th, but I might be remembering it wrong. I know there's 3 earnings rolling a day: 27, 28, 29. I believe strongly. I hope like all the Christmas spending is just Amazon's gonna knock it out of the park, and hopefully they're not too affected by the parlor stuff, because I think the parlor stuff is gonna like kind of wash down the drain, because 29th or 27th is 1 week after whose inauguration, and parlor thing happened. What was it, yesterday? Yeah, I think yesterday or something like that, or 2 days ago, and that hopefully will be old news. So stock gonna hopefully keep going up, and even though it sounds like a scary number, 20,000 people close their Amazon account. I'm like, okay, it's just 20,000. How many Amazon people accounts are out there? So, yeah. Anyway, I will, like I said, I will talk to you guys later. I got a little too, whenever I do these streams, I don't want to do a short stream, and then here's my stream going too long. Parlor is, well, you guys can Wikipedia it. Basically, Parlor was an app that they supported the free speech, and then you had some very prominent Trump supporters on there. And because there was, because of the stuff that happened at the Capitol, they got a lot of backlash, because they said, how come there wasn't more moderation done for this? So Amazon and Apple and Google both they all criticized Parler and said, hey, there wasn't enough moderation being done. You guys don't have the capability to handle this kind of stuff. You guys know, like Twitter, they were censoring, or they were moderating Trump's posts like very quickly, like within 30 minutes. I don't think Parler has enough people to do that. I think they didn't have the manpower to handle that kind of capabilities. A lot of them were volunteers, if I remember correctly, too. So they might be a little biased. Just saying here, if you're telling someone to moderate and they're an unpaid person and they can just moderate based on their own perception, right? Maybe they'll be like, yeah, that doesn't need to be moderated. It's totally fine. But someone's like saying like, yeah, we should go out and, egg someone's car, like that kind of thing. The moderator might see it like, oh, yeah, maybe they're just using that as expression. So anyway, Amazon pulled out their hosting for it. Google and Amazon stopped having it on their Play Store, their App Store, and there's a lot of controversy about it, because you got some people who are like, you're infringing on my free speech, and then Parler, the CEO, I believe, is suing Amazon. I forgot if it was Apple, but I'm pretty damn sure it was Amazon, saying that there's like antitrust things that they were, like they don't believe that, they think that they pulled the web hosting unlawfully, and it's because they felt like maybe Parler was moving too fast, or it was competition to Twitter or something like that. So I good luck to them. I really don't think Parler's gonna win. Amazon, just being very frank here, Amazon has a huge budget, and yeah, they could just like bleed out Parler's lawsuits, millions of dollars, and just treat it like a plaything. They'd be like, yeah, you wanna sue us? Well, we can make this lawsuit extend for $7 million worth of lawyers, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Yeah, it's one of those like tactics I won't be surprised if Amazon uses, because I don't think Amazon would ever want this to go to court, or if they do, maybe they'll pay off. I don't know, but whatever it is, it will definitely be. It probably will be not disclosed to the public. Just my thought. Yeah, so Parler could move it off out to the U.S. I think they could do it something like Pirate Bay, but they said that a lot of companies don't want to work with them, because they found out that Google doesn't want to. Google pulled it, Amazon pulled it, Apple pulled it, so they have a problem with people wanting to host it, because they're getting turned down. So yeah. Anyway, you guys talk to you guys later. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of research about this stuff. It's just like when I found out the stock was going down, I was like, why the hell is Amazon's stock going down? What the hell happened? And then I looked more into the parlor stuff. I was like, okay, I can kind of see why this was a big deal. But today overall was not a good day for the stock market. The beloved Tesla went down, the beloved Bitcoin went down, Amazon went down, Apple went down, Google went down. But give it 2 days, 4 days maybe, everything will be fine. See ya.